Kang Minho rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the computer screen again. The numbers were still there, glowing green against the dark background. For 3 months now, he had been tracking something strange in space. Something that should not be there. The radio telescope in Chile was supposed to listen for signals from distant stars. Minho worked the night shift searching for sounds from alien worlds. Most nights he heard nothing but static and the hum of distant galaxies. But lately something was different. "Still working on those weird signals?" asked his colleague, stepping into the small control room with 2 cups of coffee. "They are not signals," Minho said, taking the warm cup. "They are objects, small ones, moving in patterns that make no sense. Satellites? Too far out. And they move too perfectly, like they are watching something." Minho had been an astronomer for 15 years. He knew how satellites moved. He knew how space junk drifted. These objects were different. They stayed in perfect formation, always pointing toward Earth. When one moved, the others followed. It was like they were dancing. Far above Earth, in the cold darkness of space, Commander HFY watched the blue planet turn slowly below. His ship was invisible to human technology, or so he believed. The Velothi had been watching Earth for 50 years, studying every detail of human civilization. "The humans are still fighting each other," reported his officer, pointing at the main screen. "Wars in 7 different places. Their leaders cannot agree on anything." "Good," HFY said. "Divided enemies are weak enemies." The Velothi Empire had conquered 17 worlds using the same method. Watch, learn, and strike when the time was right. They never lost because they never fought a fair fight. They studied their enemies until they knew every weakness, every fear, every mistake they would make. "How much longer until we attack?" the officer asked. "Soon. The council wants to be sure. Humans look primitive, but they surprise us sometimes." HFY looked at the reports on his desk. Humans had split the atom 50 years ago. They had computers that could think. They had sent machines to other planets. For a species that had only recently discovered fire, they moved very fast, but they were still weak. They could not agree on simple things. They wasted time fighting each other instead of working together. They would be easy to defeat. On Earth, Park Ji-soo sat in her office in Houston, staring at lines of computer code. She worked for NASA, protecting their computer systems from hackers. Every day someone tried to break into their networks. Most were just curious kids or criminals looking for money. But lately, the attacks were different. "These are not normal," she told her boss during their morning meeting. "Someone is testing our systems, not trying to steal anything, just seeing how strong our defenses are." "Could be another country," her boss said. "China, Russia, maybe North Korea, maybe. But the attack patterns are strange, too organized, too patient. Most hackers want results fast. These ones are willing to wait." Ji-soo had been fighting cyber criminals for 10 years. She could usually tell what they wanted: money, secrets, or just the thrill of breaking something. These new attackers wanted something else. They were mapping NASA's computer systems like soldiers studying a battlefield. She had built new defenses, stronger than anything NASA had used before. Quantum encryption that could not be broken, multiple backup systems, code that could repair itself if damaged. She was proud of her work, but she could not shake the feeling that someone was preparing for war. In South Korea, Lee Woo-bin studied satellite photos of military bases around the world. As a military strategist for the UN, his job was to watch for signs of conflict before wars started. He had seen the patterns before. Countries moving troops, buying weapons, making alliances. But something was happening that he could not explain. "Look at this," he said to his assistant, pointing at a map covered in red dots. "Military activity is increasing everywhere. Not between countries, but inside them. Everyone is building better defenses. Maybe they are worried about terrorism? No. This is different. Look at the timing." Woo-bin had marked every major military upgrade in the past 5 years. New radar systems, better missiles, stronger computer networks. Countries that were enemies were building the same types of defenses. Countries that never talked to each other were making the same upgrades. It is like everyone got the same memo, he said. But no one sent it. What Wu Bin did not know was that Earth's military leaders were responding to the same strange signals that Minho had been tracking. Radar operators around the world had detected brief contacts that appeared and disappeared. Satellite controllers had lost contact with their equipment for short periods. Air traffic controllers had seen objects that moved too fast to be planes. Each country thought the others were testing new weapons. So they built better defenses. They upgraded their systems. They prepared for attacks that they thought were coming from their human enemies. High above, Vexhai watched the humans prepare for war and smiled. They are making it easier for us, he told his crew. All this military activity will help us target their weapons. But the Velati commander did not understand what he was seeing. The humans were not just building weapons. They were building networks. Systems that could work together even when parts were destroyed. Communication links that could not be jammed. Supply chains that could adapt when roads were blocked. In her laboratory in Seoul, Choi Hyerim worked late into the night. She was trying to solve a problem that had puzzled doctors for decades. How could they make medicine that adapted to each patient's needs? How could they create treatments that changed as diseases changed? Her answer was tiny robots, smaller than cells, that could swim through the bloodstream and fight cancer wherever they found it. The robots were smart. They could learn. They could work together. They could adapt to new threats without being reprogrammed. The test results are perfect, she told her research team. The nanobots can identify and destroy any foreign organism in the body. They learn from each encounter and share that knowledge with other nanobots. Hyerim thought she was fighting disease. She had no idea that her tiny robots would soon face threats from beyond Earth. Across the city, Kim Taewon was solving a different problem. When earthquakes or floods destroyed communication towers, how could people still talk to each other? His answer was a network that existed everywhere and nowhere. Instead of depending on big towers, his system used thousands of small devices. Phones, computers, even smartwatches could become part of the network. If one part was destroyed, others would automatically connect in new ways. The network would heal itself. It is like a spider web, he explained to investors. Cut one strand, and the web is still strong. The more you cut, the more ways the web finds to stay connected. Both inventors were preparing for the disasters they knew about: earthquakes, floods, diseases, and computer failures. They had no idea they were also preparing for something much worse. As the months passed, Minho continued tracking the strange objects in space. They were moving closer to Earth, but very slowly. Whatever they were patient. Jisoo kept fighting off cyber attacks that 6 months after NASA's defenses without trying to break objects. They were still there. The attackers were learning, doing something new. Wu Bin watched as every country on Earth improved their military technology 17 minutes, apparently for no reason. Then they would start far above them all, as if nothing had prepared for a war that he was certain like someone is testing them. After all, Minho told his supervisor during their never lost a battle. They were turning them off, checking how they work, too patient, then turning them back on. What none of them knew was that the war had already begun, and the humans were already winning. No. Solar storms are random. This happens at the same time every 3 weeks. Someone is doing this on purpose. What Minho did not know was that the Velati were testing Earth's communication systems. They needed to understand how humans talked to each other before they could cut off all communication during the invasion. But the tests were having an unexpected effect. Every time Earth's satellites went dark, engineers around the world worked to fix the problem. They built backup systems. They created new ways for satellites to restart themselves. They made communication networks that could work even when most satellites were offline. Park Jisoo noticed the satellite problems too. Each time the satellites failed, hackers tried to break into NASA's computers. They seemed to think the satellite failures meant NASA's defenses were weak. They are wrong, Jisoo told her team. Every time this happens, we get stronger. She had spent months building what she called fortress software. Programs that could protect themselves. Code that could hide in multiple places at once. Security systems that learned from every attack and shared that knowledge with other computers around the world. The quantum encryption she had developed was now being used by governments, banks, and hospitals worldwide. Her systems were so advanced that even she was not sure how they worked anymore. The artificial intelligence she had created to manage security was writing its own improvements. The new system blocked 15,000 attacks yesterday, her assistant reported. Most of them came from sources we cannot identify. Unknown hackers? Maybe. But the attack patterns are unlike anything we have seen. Too organized. Too perfect. Like they were programmed by machines instead of humans. Jisoo did not know that she was right. The Velothi were using artificial intelligence to probe Earth's computer systems. But her own AI was learning from every probe, becoming stronger and smarter with each attack. In Seoul, Choi Hyram was celebrating a breakthrough. Her medical nanobots had passed every test. They could destroy cancer cells, fight infections, and even repair damaged organs. But the most amazing thing was how they adapted. Look at this, she showed her research partner, pointing at a computer screen showing microscopic robots. I introduced a new type of bacteria yesterday. The nanobots had never seen it before, but within 6 hours they learned how to kill it. How is that possible? They communicate with each other. When one nanobot learns something new, it shares that information with all the others. They are like a tiny army that gets smarter with every battle. Hiram had created the nanobots to fight diseases, but she had accidentally created something much more powerful. The tiny robots could identify and destroy any foreign substance in the human body. They could adapt to new threats in hours instead of years. They could work together in ways that no human medicine had ever worked before. What she did not know was that the Velothi were planning to use biological weapons against Earth. Diseases that would kill humans quickly and leave the planet ready for colonization. But Hiram's nanobots were designed to fight exactly those kinds of threats. Across the city, Kim Taewon was dealing with a different problem. The government wanted his communication network to work during natural disasters, but they also wanted it to be secure from enemy attacks. Traditional networks are too easy to destroy, he explained to military officials. Cut a few main cables and entire cities lose communication. But my network has no main cables. His system used thousands of small devices instead of a few large towers. Phones, tablets, cars, even refrigerators could become part of the network. If enemies destroyed half the devices, the network would automatically reorganize and keep working. But how do you secure it? A general asked. If every device can join the network, how do you keep enemies out? That is the beautiful part, Taewon smiled. The network is so complex that even I cannot predict how it works. It changes every second. By the time an enemy figures out how to attack one part, that part has already changed. The military liked what they heard. Within months, Taewon's technology was being installed in bases around the world. He thought he was protecting Earth from human enemies. He had no idea he was creating a communication system that aliens could not understand or destroy. Meanwhile, Lee Woo-bin was noticing strange patterns in global military activity. Countries that had been enemies for decades were suddenly sharing technology. Military bases that had been secret for years were cooperating with foreign scientists. Something big is happening, he told his UN colleagues. Look at these reports. He spread papers across the conference table. Reports from 50 different countries, all describing the same things. Military technology advancing faster than ever before. Defense systems being upgraded simultaneously around the world. Scientists sharing research that had been classified for decades. It is like everyone decided to prepare for the same war, Woo-bin said. But no one knows what war they are preparing for. What Woo-bin did not understand was that military leaders around the world were all seeing the same signs. Mysterious radar, contacts, satellite malfunctions, communication blackouts. Each country thought the others were testing new weapons, so they all prepared for attacks from each other. But in preparing for human enemies, they were accidentally preparing for something much worse. The radar systems they built to detect enemy missiles were sensitive enough to track objects in deep space. The communication networks they created to survive nuclear war could work, even if most of Earth's technology was destroyed. The computer systems they designed to resist cyber attacks from other countries were strong enough to resist attacks from alien technology. High above Earth, Commander Vexhai was becoming worried. The human planet was not behaving as expected. Their technology is advancing too quickly, he told the Velathi Council during a secure communication. When we started watching them, they had simple computers and basic weapons. Now they have artificial intelligence and quantum networks. Are they aware of our presence? Asked the council leader. No. Our scans show they still fight each other constantly. They waste resources on hundreds of small conflicts, but their defensive technology is becoming concerning. Vexhai looked at the reports from his spy satellites. Human communication networks were becoming impossible to hack. Their medical technology could adapt to new biological threats in hours. Their military systems were learning to work together despite being built by enemies. Perhaps we should attack now before they become stronger, suggested his tactical officer. No, the plan requires patience. We will continue testing their defenses. Soon we will know their weaknesses. But the Velathi did not realize their mistake. Every test they performed made humans stronger. Every probe they sent taught human computers how to resist alien technology. Every attack they planned was being accidentally countered by human preparations. In her laboratory, Hiram was working late again. Her nanobots had exceeded all expectations. They could now identify and neutralize threats that did not even exist. Yet, the artificial intelligence controlling the nanobots was creating new defensive strategies every day. The system is learning faster than we can study it, her assistant observed. It is almost like it knows something we do not. In Houston, Jisoo was watching her computer screens with amazement. Her security systems had just blocked an attack unlike anything she had ever seen. The attack had used quantum computing and artificial intelligence techniques that were years ahead of human technology. Where did this come from? She wondered aloud. In Chile, Minho was tracking 17 objects that had moved closer to Earth. They were still too far away to be dangerous, but they were definitely getting closer. And in Seoul, Taewon was watching his communication network grow stronger every day. Military bases around the world were connecting to his system. Soon, every important facility on Earth would be part of one giant, indestructible network. None of them knew they were preparing for an invasion. But we're getting ready anyway. The war was about to begin, and somehow humanity was already winning. The first attack came on a Tuesday morning. Commander Vexhai had chosen the timing carefully. Most humans would be at work or school. They would be distracted, unprepared. The Velathi fleet moved silently through space toward Earth. Target the mining stations first, Vexhai ordered. Destroy 3 of them. The humans will panic and surrender quickly. The asteroid mining stations were perfect first targets. They were far from Earth, lightly defended and valuable to human industry. Destroying them would show Earth that the Velathi could strike anywhere. 3 bright flashes lit up the darkness of space. The mining stations exploded in seconds. The Velathi waited for Earth to respond with fear and panic. Instead, something strange happened. Sir, reported the Velathi communications officer, we are receiving human transmissions about the explosions. Good. Are they surrendering? No, sir. They think it was an industrial accident. They are sending rescue ships. Vexhai stared at the communication screen. Human news reports were calling it the worst mining accident in space history. No one mentioned aliens. No one talked about invasion. They were treating the destruction of 3 major facilities like a workplace accident. How can they be so stupid? Muttered the tactical officer. But the humans were not stupid. They were experienced. In 50 years of space mining, there had been dozens of accidents. Explosions, equipment failures, communication breakdowns. The humans had learned to respond quickly and efficiently to disasters. Within 6 hours, rescue ships had reached the destroyed stations. Medical teams were treating survivors. Engineering crews were already planning to rebuild. It was like the humans had practiced for exactly this situation. On Earth, Kang Minho was watching the news about the mining accident with interest. He had been tracking those strange objects in space for months. Now, on the same day as the accident, The objects had moved much closer to Earth. That is not a coincidence, he told his colleague. But before he could investigate further, something else caught his attention. His radio telescope was picking up new signals, not from deep space this time, but from somewhere inside the solar system. 200 kilometers above Earth, Yoon Se-byul was flying her experimental fighter jet through the upper atmosphere. She was testing new engines that could work in both air and space. The military wanted planes that could fight anywhere. "Control, I have visual contact with unknown aircraft," she radioed to the ground. "Can you identify them?" Se-byul looked at the three objects flying in perfect formation ahead of her. They were sleek, silver, and moved without making any sound. No nation on Earth had technology like this. "Negative. They do not match any known aircraft. Requesting permission to investigate." "Permission granted. Use caution." What Se-byul did not know was that she was looking at Velothi scout fighters. They had been sent to test Earth's air defenses. The aliens expected to find primitive jet aircraft with simple weapons. Instead, they found Se-byul. Her fighter was equipped with the latest technology. Engines that could accelerate faster than anything the Velothi had ever seen. Computers that could predict enemy movements. Weapons that could track multiple targets at once. But most importantly, Se-byul was a pilot who had trained against the best human fighters in the world. She had learned to fight opponents who were unpredictable, creative, and willing to break every rule to win. The Velothi pilots had trained against computer simulations. They knew exactly what their enemies would do because the computer always did the same things. They had never fought anyone who thought like Se-byul. The air battle lasted 3 minutes. When it was over, 2 alien fighters were falling toward the ocean in flames. The third was limping back toward space with half its engines destroyed. Se-byul's fighter had a few scratches on the paint. Control, 3 unknown aircraft destroyed or disabled. They had advanced technology but poor tactical skills. Recommend increased patrols. Understood. Return to base for debriefing. As she flew home, Se-byul wondered which country had built such advanced aircraft. She assumed they were secret weapons from Russia or China. It never occurred to her that she had just won humanity's first battle against an alien invasion. In Buam, the ocean below, Bae Jong-suk was studying strange new fish near a deep-sea research station. He was a marine biologist who specialized in creatures that lived in extreme environments. His research was helping engineers design better materials and systems. "Look at this," he told his research partner, pointing at a fish that glowed in the dark. "It creates its own light using chemical reactions, and its skin can change color to match any background." Jong-suk had been studying these creatures for years. He had learned how they survived in places where nothing should be able to live. High pressure, no light, poisonous chemicals. Nature had already solved problems that human engineers were just beginning to understand. His research had led to the development of new materials that could survive in space. Clothing that could change color for camouflage. Communication systems that used light instead of radio waves. Equipment that could work in any environment. When the first Velothi ground troops landed in the ocean 3 days later, they expected to find humans who could only fight on dry land. Instead, they found soldiers using technology inspired by Jong-suk's research. The human underwater teams could breathe underwater for hours. Their equipment worked perfectly in the high-pressure environment. Their camouflage made them nearly invisible. Their weapons used bioluminescent targeting systems that the aliens had never seen before. The Velothi had planned to use Earth's oceans as staging areas for their invasion. The deep water would hide their ships from human detection, but they had not expected humans to fight underwater as well as they fought on land. The first underwater battle was a disaster for the aliens. Human soldiers moved through the water like fish. They used the ocean itself as a weapon, creating pressure waves and using currents to confuse their enemies. The Velothi retreated to deeper water, but the humans followed them there too. "How are they doing this?" demanded Vexai when he received the battle reports. "Unknown, sir. Human technology appears far more advanced than our intelligence indicated. They have weapons and tactics we have never encountered." "What about their computer systems? Have we disabled their communications?" "No, sir. We have attempted 17 cyber attacks in the past week. All have failed. Their computer networks appear to be immune to our intrusion software. This was thanks to Park Jisu's work. Her AI security systems had been learning from Velothi attacks for months. Every probe, every test, every attempt to break into human computers had made her systems stronger. The artificial intelligence she had created was now writing its own defensive programs. It was sharing information with security systems around the world. It was creating new types of protection faster than the Velothi could create new types of attacks. "Sir," reported another officer, "we have intercepted human communications about our scout fighter losses." "Good. Are they panicking?" "No, sir. They are calling it a successful test of new defensive systems. They think the destroyed craft were targets in a military exercise." Vexhai felt the first stirring of real concern. How could an entire planet be so calm about being invaded? Did humans not understand what was happening to them? The answer was both yes and no. Individual humans were noticing strange things. Minho was tracking objects in space. Sabyul was fighting unknown aircraft. Jongsuk was helping develop technology for underwater warfare. But none of them had put the pieces together yet. To most humans, these were just separate, unusual events. New military exercises, industrial accidents, scientific experiments. Earth had always been a dangerous, unpredictable place. A few more strange events did not seem particularly alarming. This was exactly what made humans so difficult to defeat. They were used to chaos. They expected the unexpected. They treated every crisis as just another problem to solve. The Velothi had spent 50 years studying human wars. They understood how humans fought each other. But they did not understand how humans dealt with disasters, accidents, and unknowns. When East faced with something completely new, humans did not panic. They adapted, and they were very, very good at adapting. In his command ship, Vexhai stared at the tactical displays showing his losses. 3 mining stations destroyed, but humans were already rebuilding. 2 scout fighters lost, but humans thought it was target practice. Ground troops retreating from the ocean, but humans did not even know there had been a battle. For the first time in his military career, Commander Vexhai was beginning to wonder if the Velothi had chosen the wrong enemy. But it was too late to stop now. The invasion had begun, even if the humans did not know it yet. Commander Vexhai was running out of patience. The human planet was supposed to have surrendered weeks ago. Instead, every attack had failed. It was time for more serious measures. "Prepare the orbital bombardment ships," he ordered. "We will destroy their major cities. That will make them understand." The Velothi had used orbital bombardment to conquer 12 worlds. Giant energy beams fired from space could destroy entire cities in minutes. No planet had ever survived this kind of attack. But Earth was different. The first energy beam struck New York City at exactly noon. The Velothi expected to see massive destruction, panic, and surrender. Instead, they watched something impossible happen. The city did not disappear. The beam hit what looked like empty air and scattered in all directions. Most of the energy went harmlessly into space. The small amount that reached the ground was no stronger than sunlight. "What happened?" Vexhai demanded. "Unknown, sir. Our targeting systems show the beam hit the city directly, but something deflected it." What the aliens did not know was that Earth had been preparing for asteroid impacts for decades. Scientists had built energy shields around major cities to protect them from space rocks. The same shields that could stop a meteor traveling at 60,000 kilometers per hour could easily stop an alien energy beam. The bombardment continued for 6 hours. Every major city on Earth was targeted. None of them were seriously damaged. On the ground, humans watched the light show in the sky with interest rather than fear. "Pretty," said one child, pointing at the colorful beams bouncing off the invisible shields. "Probably just testing the new defense systems," said her mother. Han Minsu was having the busiest day of his career. As a logistics coordinator for emergency services, his job was to make sure supplies reached disaster areas quickly. But today was not a normal disaster. "Sir, we have 17 cities reporting unusual energy readings. his assistant told him. All of them are requesting emergency supply deliveries. What kind of supplies? Everything. Food, water, medical, equipment, backup power systems. It is like they are preparing for a major emergency, but no emergency has happened yet. This was exactly the kind of problem Minsu was good at solving. He had spent years creating supply networks that could handle any crisis. Earthquakes, floods, wars, pandemics. His computer systems could route supplies around any obstacle. No problem, he said, typing commands into his computer. Activate Emergency Protocol 7. Reroute all available supplies to the affected cities. Use backup transportation routes. Within hours, trucks, trains, ships, and planes were moving supplies to every major city on Earth. The Velothi had expected their orbital bombardment to destroy human infrastructure. Instead, they watched the most efficient supply operation in galactic history. Human cities did not just survive the attack, they became stronger. Emergency supplies arrived faster than anyone thought possible. Backup power systems activated automatically. Communication networks rerouted around any damage. How is this possible? HFY asked his science officer. The humans appear to have practiced for exactly this scenario, sir. Their response time is incredible. Practiced for orbital bombardment? How could they know? The aliens did not understand that humans had been practicing for disasters their entire history. Hurricanes, earthquakes, wars, accidents. Every crisis had taught them to be more prepared for the next one. Meanwhile, Song Ara was having the time of her life. As a social media influencer, she made videos about interesting events around the world, and today was very interesting. Hello everyone, she said to her camera standing on a rooftop in Seoul. Check out these amazing light effects in the sky. The government says they are testing new defense systems, but they look like something from a science fiction movie. Ara had been filming the light show all day. Her videos were getting millions of views. People around the world were sharing pictures and videos of the colorful beams bouncing off city shields. Pretty lights was trending worldwide. Some people think these might be weapons tests, Ara continued. But if they are weapons, they are really bad weapons. Look, the beams just bounce off and make pretty colors. Her viewers were commenting faster than she could read. Everyone was joking about the worst weapons test ever and the coolest light show in history. Some people were making memes about aliens who were bad at invasion. What Ara did not know was that actual aliens were watching her videos. The Velothi had expected their bombardment to cause terror and panic. Instead, they were watching humans turn their most powerful weapons into entertainment. The psychological effect was devastating. Velothi soldiers who had conquered 17 worlds were beginning to doubt themselves. How could their ultimate weapons be so ineffective that humans use them for fun? Sir, reported the communications officer, human social media is full of jokes about our attacks. They are calling our bombardment pretty fireworks and the best free light show ever. HFY felt something he had never experienced before in battle, embarrassment. But the worst was yet to come. The Velothi decided to try their final strategy, the ultimate cyber attack. They would use every computer virus, every hacking tool, every cyber weapon they had developed in 500 years of galactic conquest. The attack began at midnight, Earth time. Millions of computer viruses struck every network on the planet, simultaneously. The aliens expected to shut down human civilization in minutes. Instead, they ran into Park Ji-soo's artificial intelligence. Her AI security system had been learning from Velothi attacks for almost a year. It had grown from a simple defense program into something much more powerful. It could think, learn, and adapt faster than any alien computer. When the ultimate cyber attack hit Earth's networks, Ji-soo's AI was ready. Not only did it block every virus, it traced them back to their source. Within minutes, the AI was counterattacking the Velothi computer systems. It treated the alien fleet like just another botnet that needed to be destroyed. Sir, shouted the Velothi computer officer, the humans are inside our systems. They are downloading our files. How is that possible? Unknown. Their artificial intelligence is more advanced than ours. It is learning our technology and using it against us. For the first time in 500 years, Velothi computers were being hacked. Human AI was spreading through their networks like a virus, copying their technology, learning their weaknesses, and sharing that information with every computer on Earth. "Sir," reported another officer, "our navigation systems are failing. The human AI has infected our star charts. And our weapons systems are offline," added the tactical officer. "Our communication systems are down," said a third officer. In less than 1 hour, the most powerful fleet in the galaxy had been disabled by a security program that a human woman had written to protect NASA's computers. Kim Tae-won watched the cyber battle from his office in Seoul. His communication network was handling more data than ever before, but it was working perfectly. Every device on Earth was connected to every other device. Information was flowing faster than the speed of light. "The network is learning," he told his assistant with amazement. "It is adapting to handle traffic we never imagined." What Tae-won did not know was that his network was now connected to alien computers too. Jisoo's AI had used his system to spread throughout the Velothi fleet. The aliens had tried to attack Earth's communication network, and instead had been absorbed by it. High above Earth, Commander Vexhai stared at his dead control screens. His mighty invasion fleet was drifting helplessly in space. Their computers were infected with human software. Their weapons would not fire. Their engines would not start. "Sir," said his communications officer, using a backup radio system, "we are receiving a message from Earth." "From their government?" "No, sir. From something called YouTube. A human female is broadcasting to the entire galaxy." On the main screen, Song Ara's smiling face appeared. She was standing on the same rooftop, but now she was pointing at the Velothi fleet, which was visible as tiny dots against the stars. "Hello, aliens," she said cheerfully. "Thanks for the light show. It was really pretty. But your weapons need work. Maybe try harder next time?" She waved at the camera. Behind her, the lights of Earth cities twinkled peacefully. "Oh, and thanks for the free technology upgrade. Our computers are much faster now." The transmission ended. Commander Vexhai sat in his command chair, surrounded by broken dreams of conquest. His mighty fleet had been defeated by a species that did not even know they were at war. For the first time in Velothi history, it was time to retreat. 3 days after the cyber attack, Kang Minho was sitting in a coffee shop in Santiago, reading news on his tablet. The headlines were interesting, but not alarming. Mysterious light show continues for third day. Internet speed increases 1,000%. Worldwide military reports. Successful test of new defense systems. Social media star gets 50 million views for space videos. None of the news seemed connected. Just another week of strange events on a strange planet. Then Minho got a phone call from Park Jisoo in Houston. "Hello, this is Kang Minho from the Radio Telescope Project in Chile." "Hello, Dr. Kang. I am Park Jisoo from NASA. I got your number from the International Astronomy Database. I have some questions about the objects you have been tracking." "Which objects?" "The 17 satellites you reported 6 months ago. The ones in perfect formation around Earth." Minho nearly dropped his coffee. "How do you know about those?" "That research is not published yet. Because I think those satellites have been attacking my computer systems, and I think they are not human satellites." There was a long pause. "Dr. Park," Minho said slowly, "I think we need to talk." 2 hours later, Minho was on a video call with Jisoo. She had connected Lee Woo-bin from the UN office in Seoul. Within minutes, they had also reached Yoon Se-byul at her military base, Choi, Hiram in her laboratory, and Kim Tae-won at his company. "Let me understand this correctly," said Lee Woo-bin. "Dr. Kang has been tracking unknown objects in space for months. Dr. Park has been fighting off cyber attacks from unknown sources. Colonel Yoon shot down aircraft that no human nation built. Dr. Choi developed nanobots that can fight unknown biological agents. And Mr. Kim created a communication network that just absorbed alien computer systems." "That sounds right," said Jisoo. "And none of us realized we were fighting aliens until now?" "That also sounds right," said Minho. Se-byul laughed. "I shot down alien fighters and thought they were Chinese spy planes. This is either the most embarrassing moment of my career or the most amazing. Both." said Hiram. We accidentally won. A war we did not know we were fighting. Kim Taewon was looking at his computer screen with amazement. According to my network data, we are still connected to their fleet. I can see everything they are doing. What are they doing? Asked Wubin. Retreating. Their ships are moving away from Earth as fast as possible. And they are sending distress signals to their home planet. Distress signals? Yes. They are reporting a complete mission failure. They are warning their people that Earth is too dangerous to attack. On the main screen in Jisu's office, they could see the alien fleet limping away from Earth. Half the ships were not moving under their own power. The others were towing them to safety. Should we do something? Asked Minho. Contact our governments? Tell the world what happened? Tell them what? Asked Sabiol. That we accidentally defeated an alien invasion because we are really good at dealing with problems? That does sound hard to explain, admitted Wubin. Song Ara appeared on Taewon's network feed. She was still broadcasting from her rooftop, but now she was looking at the retreating alien fleet through a telescope. Hey everyone. The aliens are leaving. That was fun. They were not very good at invading, but they had pretty spaceships. Her chat was full of comments from viewers around the world. Most people still thought the whole thing had been an elaborate military exercise or science experiment. Should we tell her the truth? Asked Hiram. Would she believe us? Replied Jisu. They watched as Ara waved goodbye to the alien fleet. Thanks for visiting Earth. Come back anytime. Maybe bring better weapons next time. In space, Commander Vexai received his final report from the tactical officer. Sir, all human networks are still completely secure. Our cyber weapons have been completely neutralized. Their artificial intelligence has taken control of our backup systems, and our biological weapons have been rendered useless by some kind of adaptive nanotechnology. What about our energy weapons? Their cities have defense shields that we cannot penetrate, and their military aircraft are faster and more maneuverable than ours. And their space technology? Unknown, sir. They did not use any space weapons. Against us. They did not need to. Vexai looked at the planet Earth growing smaller behind them. It looked so peaceful, blue and green and white, with tiny lights marking the cities where billions of humans lived their normal lives. Sir, said the communications officer, we are receiving final transmission from the human planet. More threats? No, sir. It appears to be a message of thanks. On the screen, a human news broadcaster was reporting on the successful completion of international defense exercises. We want to thank all participating nations for the most comprehensive military training exercise in human history. The new defense systems performed flawlessly, communication networks operated at unprecedented efficiency, and the international cooperation was remarkable. The report continued with interviews from scientists, military leaders, and ordinary citizens. Everyone was praising the exercise and looking forward to more cooperation in the future. They still do not know, whispered the tactical officer. No, said Vexai, they do not know. And that is why they won. Back on Earth, the 6 humans, who had accidentally saved the world, were still talking on their video call. So what do we do now? Asked Minho. I suppose we go back to work, said Jisu. My computer systems are much better now, thanks to all that alien technology they left behind. My nanobots learned a lot from analyzing their biological weapons, added Hiram. I can probably cure diseases that do not even exist yet. And my communication network is now connected to devices across the solar system, said Taewon. We have the most advanced internet in the galaxy. My aircraft performed even better than expected, said Sabiol. I think I am ready for anything now. The international cooperation during this exercise was remarkable, said Wubin. I should write a report about it. And I have the best data on extraterrestrial technology in human history, said Minho, even if no one will believe where it came from. 3 months later, Minho received a message on his computer. It was not from Earth. The message was in perfect Korean, translated by alien computers that had learned human languages during the cyber battle. Greetings, Earth scientists. This is the Galactic Council. We have received reports of a failed invasion of your planet by the Velothi Empire. We wish to warn you that the Velati are dangerous and should be avoided. Please take appropriate defensive measures. Message ends. Minho stared at the screen for a long time. Then he printed the message and filed it with his other paperwork. The next day he got back to work tracking anomalous orbital objects. There were 17 new ones, but these seemed friendly. They were keeping their distance and sending polite radio signals. Just another day at the office. On Earth, humans continued their normal lives. They went to work, raised their families, solved their problems, and prepared for the future. They had no idea they had just won the most important war in galactic history. But then again, they had never lost a war. They did not know they were fighting, and they were not planning to start now. The end.